Namaskaram, my dear friends, I'm back again. Today I'm going to share with you how my life has changed after 4 years of sadhana thus far. I think the last video I have was how my life has been after 3 years of Shambhavi. Actually, my anniversary for my Shambhavi initiation is October, but I started doing sadhana. I started with Isha Kriya, I think February or March of 2021. So technically, I've been doing sadhana for 4 years now. So yes, hence 4 years of sadhana. And I think every year I notice changes, small changes, bigger changes, but just in general changes, improvement of my life and my well-being, of myself has been really wonderful and to the positive rather than spiraling down. So another change that I've noticed is, of course, physicality. I think I've mentioned before in my videos in the past that I could really feel like my body is in its prime. Now that I'm 35, I really thought my body would start to decline in terms of its capability. But surprisingly, if not the same, I really feel younger in terms of my body. Like, I'm flexible, definitely more flexible. I do not get sick easily, or if when I do, it's always so fast. Sometimes there are instances where I do get sick, usually when I travel or if I'm in a new environment. But even with the discomfort of having like a runny nose or having some fever or having a higher fever, it does not bother me as much as it did before. Like, I would be sick, but I would be still working. Like, I would be sick, but I'd still be doing things. I think the longest I've been sick last year was, I believe, maybe 5 days, and that's the longest I've ever been sick. And I think I took naps on our couch for like an hour or two on maybe 2 or 3 days, but that was about it. The rest of the day, I would still be cooking, doing dishes, cleaning the house, doing laundry, doing gardening. This body is just really more capable. One significant change though is how my nose is no longer stuffy most of the time. I remember my days in high school, I always have allergies nonstop. Like when I go to school, allergies. Just right before I go back home from school, I still have allergies. And I think it was the dust. The doctor said it was dust mites or just whatever there is in my environment that my body doesn't like. And I would always have a runny nose, and it was so annoying because my upper lip, just right below my nose, becomes really sore from like wiping with my cotton handkerchief. Even if it was cotton, it can be rough after a long period of time. And that was really annoying. And it wasn't so pleasant to see a young, pretty girl always blowing her nose. I didn't get admirers then. Joking aside, these days I have enjoyed the fresh air so much better because both of my nostrils are not clogged up. Just imagine though, having clogged up nose all the time or having one clogged, either the right or the left, just to breathe. That was so difficult. And I honestly think it's either my Surya Kriya or Surya Shakti and my yoga asanas that keep my nostrils unclogged. It could be the other sadhana too, maybe the Kapalabhatis. But I don't necessarily care too much what to attribute to what, because I'm enjoying my unclogged nose. You should be too if you have clogged nose. Do sadhana. This may not necessarily be physical or health related. But when I first moved to Florida during the summers, especially in the afternoon where the sun is just starting to set, my gosh, like Florida is swarmed with mosquitoes. A few moments out in the garden, when you come back in, you will have a lot of mosquito bites. And then I was always prepared. I would wear like long sleeves and pants to keep me protected and put some mosquito spray on my face. The organic one, the eucalyptus, lemongrass, citronella type of spray, so it doesn't really irritate my skin. But I used to do that one summer ago. But what I've noticed recently, I would go out and mosquitoes would be swarming me and they would bite me and I come back in. I don't think mosquitoes are biting me less because they still bite me a lot. But like the urgency to itch is not as urgent as it did a year ago, last summer. I just feel like, it's part of nature. The mosquito has fed off of me and they're full momentarily and they have to go through their life trying to find food from people who don't really necessarily like them. I think that sense of like, okay, I'm part of their ecosystem as they are in mine, kind of settles something in me. Maybe that's why I don't get so annoyed by the itchiness as much. And I just go to my room, grab some mint liniment, as they call it, or medicine. I use Tiger Balm or Katinko. They look like these. And they're really effective once I apply it on my itchy skin. Like the bump would still be there, but the itchiness goes away. Mosquitoes have their own life too, and they're trying to live it to the fullest. The next major thing I've noticed after doing 4 years of sadhana is I am really very keen in noticing changes in my environment. I think because my eyes are more open, my senses are more receptive to what's going on around me. I notice a lot of things, and when I bring it up to like someone or in a group, they would be impressed of how attentive I was, or like they would be impressed that nobody else noticed it but me. For instance, so we visited Brand's sister in Tennessee, and they have this really cute cat named Kitty. And then the first thing the cat did was like look at his environment when they were visitors, and the cat came to me and brushed himself on my legs. And what Brand's sister was saying is like the cat Kitty doesn't do that to most strangers. In fact, it was unusual that Kitty did that to me. So I'm like, oh, Kitty probably noticed a sense of different type of energy in me. That's why he did it. But what I noticed, Kitty had extra toes. And then when I pointed it out, I think I only saw Kitty for like a few minutes, and I said, oh, Kitty had extra toes. And then they said, wow, good observation. Not a lot of people really noticed that the first time. I'm like, oh, it's obvious. She had extra thumbs. One time too, my dad and I went canoeing with a group of people through a mangrove. And I was just looking at all the trees up, because usually mangroves have like a canopy of trees. And I saw a tree branch that had a snake coiled up to it. And then I told the person rowing the boat, like, oh, I saw a snake. What type of snake is that? And then she looked at me and said, have you gone to this ride before? I'm like, no. And she said, nobody usually notices the snake until I point it to them. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's there. The snake's there. I noticed it. Another time too, I was like in a retreat, a community retreat for reflection in a Catholic church, and everyone was talking about their experience, etc. And I saw a rainbow lizard running across the wall. I'm like, oh, rainbow lizard! And they all look like, oh yeah, rainbow lizard. I really enjoy too looking at squirrels. And I've noticed that squirrels come in different shapes and sizes. What I've noticed, the squirrels in LA are really, really thick, chunky, really thick fur. And I think the squirrels in Germany, I was in Germany a few years ago, maybe almost a decade ago. I think the squirrels there were red. But anyways, the squirrels in LA are really chunky, thick, whilst the squirrels here in Florida are more skinny and slender and lesser fur. And I can see like which squirrel is younger, which squirrel is older. One time I really thought one squirrel was a female and one squirrel was a male. It's just really nice to see. There was a squirrel too in our backyard. And when I saw the squirrel, I just naturally did namaskar to the squirrel. And the squirrel looked at me and started like screaming or yelling, like a cat sound. And I just looked at the squirrel the whole time until the squirrel stopped and went away. I think that was also him or her acknowledging me and probably doing his version of namaskar. I wonder about the trees more often now. Though the same species, the size is different. I would wonder how old they are, the things they've probably seen and experienced through all the years staying in one spot. Looking at them in so much awe and wonder. They've witnessed so much. The urge to touch them and connect has been more intense, whilst before I just really didn't notice. So I really think sadhana made me more connected to my environment, to nature as a whole, with an understanding in a deeper level that yes, we're all connected. And the acknowledgement is there with so much joy that I get to experience this. Third thing I've noticed is the amount of challenges and friction that happen in my life. I mean, constantly it does happen from time to time. There's like highs of like high intensity, a lot of occurrences of challenges, and sometimes it's not so bad. Right now, I will be living with an elderly Brant's dad is probably going to live it with us, so that's probably another challenge where I could probably work out a lot of karma, which is good. Maybe a little bit inconvenient, but as what Sguru says, another possibility. I've noticed frictions in relationships with people I encounter, and I think the grace in me tends to mellow my emotions down and not really get agitated or fight back, which is a wonderful thing to have, because then my emotions get settled and I don't have to deal with all the drama. Also, like preconceived notions, my god, let me just share with you guys. What I've noticed is a lot of convenience stores in a gas station is operated or owned by an Indian national. Well, maybe they're US citizens, but originally from India. And just let me tell you the story. On our way to Lingabhairavi Devi's consecration, driving from Florida all the way to Georgia, then Tennessee, we had an emergency because Lily, our darling, wasn't feeling well and she threw up in our car. And it was so messy. So we had to exit right away to like the closest exit. And we went into this gas station where there was a convenience store. And before that, I have talked to Brant in the car, like all of the friends I've had that was from India, they were so kind, they were so generous, they were so hospitable, willing and caring and all of this. Trying to convince him that his preconceived notions of people from India are opposite to what I have experienced, because what he's experienced is that they're very calculating, they're very business-minded, they're out to one-up you in business, etc., etc. So I was trying to convince him during the drive. But anyways, going back to the story, Darling threw up, we exited from the freeway, went into the closest gas station, and we went into a convenience store. And of course, it was someone of Indian origin that was running the counter. And I needed a cup to fill with water from the washroom so I could clean up the car where there was throw up. So I saw this cup that was used because it was just on the counter. So I just took that cup, grabbed some water, went outside, and started cleaning the car. Then I went back in to grab another cup of water from the washroom. When I was just about to go out, this man stopped me. He's like, "Oh, where are you going?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." "Where did you take that cup?" He said. "You didn't pay for that cup. You need to pay for that cup." I was just trying to explain to him that I got that cup used that was on the counter. He said, no. You didn't pay for that cup. Pay for that cup." I really didn't want to argue because, like, what the hell? I really didn't want to argue at that time. I was just concerned about cleaning the car, making sure Darling was good. So I'm like, okay, how much for the cup? He said $1.50. $1.50 for a used cup? He didn't want to hear my argument that it was a used cup. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll pay $1.50. I swiped the card. So I went out. And then I told Brant about the man behind the counter having me pay for a used cup for $1.50. He was enraged and he went inside and tried to argue that why did we have to pay for the cup that was used anyways, but the man was not having it. I didn't know what was going on inside because I was already outside the convenience store, but I could see Brant arguing and the man was like throwing his hands like this and like that, arguing back to Brant. And you know what had happened after that? Brant just went out and he said like, "Oh, that was stupid, blah 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 blah." We finalized our cleaning and went our way. And during the drive on our route back, the same route going to Georgia, Brant then brought up to me how rude the man was. And at the back of my head, I really didn't want to say anything, because it somehow validated his preconceived notions of people from India, and I wanted him to think of it differently. But it was just so funny because it was on our way to go to Triple I to see more Indians at Devi's consecration. It was just funny. And I think what I got out from that situation was, it was a challenge for me because I was really trying to convince Brant that I'm not doing sadhana for misguided reasons, but reasons that I've really thought through, and that people from India are just the same as people from anywhere else. There are nice ones, there are graceful ones, there are ones who are very devoted, and then there are also some people who are up to no good, just like everywhere else. But it was just funny that it happened at that moment where I was just trying to convince him to trash his assumptions. Anyways, when he dropped me off to someone's house where I was gonna share a ride with, it was Lakshmi. and he get to meet a wonderful group of Indian people, and they were nice and hospitable and etc. I hope that erased some of the preconceived notions he had. But anyways, yeah. And just here, like close to where I work, there's another gas station that's been ran by someone from India again, with Indian origin. And he was the kindest person ever. The smiles, the genuineness. Why did a brand have to experience that? Why did brand have to experience the other extreme? Not the good extreme, right? But anyways, that's my karma. I have to work with it. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked too much with my story. But because there are so many challenges happening in my life right now, I just feel like I'm more graceful in dealing with it. My heart's more at ease. My emotions are more at ease. My body and mind are not tensed up dealing with situations. Though they tense up for a moment, but the tension relaxes after a few. It's just wonderful, because then I don't have to deal with all the drama there is in life, as drama is just all created. Another thing I've noticed that's really significant to me is how my relationship, how my connection with Sadhguru has deepened. I think I'm to a point right now where I have fallen in love with Sadhguru. I find so much comfort thinking about him. I feel him closer. I feel his presence. It's like a security blanket that he has over me, telling me it's all right, he's got it. It's a protection that somehow assures me I can keep going and take full strides, that I don't have to worry when I'm done worrying. You know, it's that comfort, that ease with Sadhguru. Despite not really having, conversations with him. Like, who am I? Who am I? I'm nobody. Sadhguru's up there. Sadhguru's doing great things. Sadhguru's so busy. Yet I'm just here in my office or in my home, cooking, doing my own thing, minding my own business. But the connection is one of the deepest I have ever experienced. The more I do sadhana, I grow closer to Sadhguruji. And through him and through Sadhguru, I get to experience the grace of Bhairavi Devi, and I get to see Shiva. And don't imagine me like seeing Shiva, but a moment of stillness at one of the programs. Maybe not through my eyes, but through my being, I saw Shiva. I saw Shiva. And I wouldn't have been able to experience all of this, all the profoundness there is in life, if it weren't for Sadhguru. Like what Sadhguru said, other yogis that perform miracles, pulling a lingam out of their mouth to show to the world their capabilities. I myself am Sadhguru's miracle of the million miracles that he has performed in this life. Namaskaram. So yes, you guys, how has Sadhguru's miracles affected you? How has Sadhguru's miracles graced you? How profound are you experiencing this life? It's wonderful to share because I know a lot of us can relate. And it's wonderful to see and show everyone how wonderful this life can be through Sadhguruji. Namaskaram. So yes, until next time you guys. Bye. Mwah.